It's hard not to laugh. I'm a happy person.
That's true.
And we are live.
Hey, that's fantastic. I'm glad that we're live. Okay.
Just in time to hear Steph talk about how she's a happy person.
She is a happy person. I can contest. I can confirm. Welcome back to the Reeve There podcast.
You're
am
back.
Pagan. I am back this week with my co-host Dan and some special guests, Stephanie and Louie. Hello. Hello. Thank you so much again for Erica for helping fill out my space last week from the Reeve There podcast when I took a break for Adam's birthday. It was lovely, for anybody who's asking. Thank you. And he said thank you for the birthday wishes.
Yes, we did.
Yes. So welcome, Steph, Louie. What's up?
Welcome back.
A lot.
Not
much and a lot.
It was a rhetorical question. Honestly, I don't care.
I'm going to get into it anyway. I'm going to tell you.
Listen, Pagan.
I know.
I don't have an air conditioner. My work sucks. And I'm like,
people don't know the real Pagan. How's it going? I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's all a facade.
That's like honestly like how you're passing people in the street. People used to be like, wow, how do you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you don't ever get caught up in a conversation. You just be like, oh, hi, and continue walking. Like someone could walk down the street, someone I haven't seen for like 5 years or something, and we didn't have that big of a relationship. A lot of the time in small town Ireland, you'd be like, oh, hello, how are you? What's going on? What's cracking? Yeah, not much, grand, cool. Mine is a walking conversation.
I love
how
it.
are you? No, yeah, good, okay, great. And then I just power on through. It's not that I don't care. It's more just like usually I have stuff to do.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta.
I'm on the clock, people.
Gotta keep moving.
Every conversation with you is an elevator pitch. You got 30 seconds. Go. Nope, don't care. Bye.
Basically, yeah. If you have gripped my attention within the 30 seconds, I'm not listening anyway. So why are you
It doesn't matter. Who cares?
I can't help but think about, like, we were literally just watching Thor Ragnarok, and like I want to be the Valkyrie when she says, you have as long as it takes me to finish this drink. She just like slams an entire bottle of whatever alcohol, and then she's like, done, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do that. I want to be that badass.
That's a great way to be. Honestly, like, can you imagine how much time you would have saved?
Oh yeah,
just been like that forever. Yeah, right. This is painting me in a weird light. I'm not actually like this.
So
welcome
back
get
to
drunk
the
all the
podcast.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, so welcome back to the podcast. I want to actually dive right in because this week we had an amazing game launch from Capcom. Resident Evil Village has launched on the 7th.
What?
Yesterday?
Yes.
Yesterday, as we're filming this or as we're recording this. Has anybody played it? I mean, I myself has only played 2 of the demos, the original demo and then the castle demo.
Dan, as a massive Resident Evil fan, yes, of course, I had this game pre-ordered and I picked it up immediately. I, for the first time in a long time, actually did not get the digital version so that I could play immediately as soon as it was available, but I got a physical copy because I'm like, you know what, I'm starting to embrace physical games and media again. So I had to wait until the store opened and wait in line and pick it up and then run home and install that pig. But yes, I've played about 2 hours of the game so far on hardcore difficulty, and one of those hours was me dying.
Why? Okay, let's okay, firstly, maybe you're just a sadomasochist. I don't know. Why hardcore difficulty?
I like a challenge.
On your first playthrough?
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, there are games that are made
this?
that way from the ground up.
I do that all the time, yeah.
Do you really? When you pick up a game for the
Back
first
me up,
time, you
Louie,
go
back me
hardcore
up.
difficulty.
All right. I could a couple things about that. First of all, I like to experience it at like the fullest that you could possibly do. And I learned from a time where if you played easy mode, you would only get half the story. If you played normal mode, you would get most of the story, and then you play hard to get the full story. So I'm used to that. So I just have this innate thing in my mind that's always like, if you don't play the hardest, you're not getting everything. Number one. Number two, if I play it and I master it on its hardest level, then I can go back and play it however I want and be more leisurely about it. But because I'm playing it on the hardest level, and because I'm experiencing it for the first time, I take my time. I really, try to figure out the different kinds of ways that you can play it. Is it more stealth? Is it more just gung-ho, whatever the hell you want? And so it gives you so much more of an experience than if you just like, okay, that's pretty nice. Okay, cool. I appreciate it more. I like mastering that level. But then there's always like the nightmare levels, which through you, I'm never doing that because I do have a life and I have my feelings and they hurt sometimes. But I get it.
And we all know that
Wow.
Stephanie likes to play games on the hardest difficulty possible,
Oh,
correct?
totally. No.
Only horror.
Only
Stephanie's only
yes.
horror on hardcore.
Yes.
Or
Now
it's
on
not
that,
happening.
I actually do have an answer to your question, Pagan.
Okay.
When you ask, like, why would I do that? And I'll tell you, it's more because I've played these games so much and I love them so much. To make them scary for me, it needs to be on hard. And that's what, making it more difficult is actually what makes it fearful for me.
So you're so dead inside that you need the hardest difficulty
Yes.
to just make
It's
the
not the
game more
hardest difficulty.
challenging.
It's the hardest difficulty available at the start.
Okay, no. Okay, but hold on. The game doesn't get scarier. It just gets more frustrating. The scare tactics are the same.
No.
I feel like.
No, because
Right,
you-
Stephanie,
you-
Stephanie.
I feel
knows
like
what I'm talking about.
yeah. I mean,
It's a balance of power. Because if I'm killing enemies and not fearful that they're gonna kill me, hi doggo.
Jesus, that terrified me. Oh my
Speaking of
god.
scares,
Sorry.
Hard mode. Hard mode.
hard mode, yeah.
Okay, think about it this way.
Whoa.
If you're playing a game but you're mowing enemies down, and if you're just sitting there with like a machine gun, just and like all the enemies are just dying instantly, is that scary?
Okay, but that's not the game that we're talking about. We're
But
talking
it
about
is
Resident Evil
for
where you're like
me, when I've used to playing those games to the point where I'm just like, bang, you're dead. Bang, you're dead.
Crazy.
Bang, you're dead. Okay, whatever. Move on to the next area.
But I think that a good word for it would probably be thrill. That it's more thrilling when there's a lot
Okay.
more at stake. 'Cause
Right,
when
it's the
more
stakes.
difficult, you
That's
can
fair.
die a lot easier, and that way you're more on edge. You're more like, oh god, oh god. So there's like a thrill of that.
Mhm.
Ah!
So
Like when you used to play tag and you felt their finger right there, like no,
Right.
like that.
And that's
Okay.
As
actually-
opposed to just like no, I'm safe, you know.
And that's legit too,
That's
because I
true.
can even expand on that, like without getting spoilerly or anything. In the beginning of the game, you get attacked by a flood of enemies, and it's
Right.
very Resident Evil in that it's like you have to survive this onslaught of enemies. And when I'm playing it on hard, I have to be very aware of where every enemy is, and I am trying to like thread the needle, and I'm like, trying to not get touched because I go down so quickly. I watched somebody playing that same moment in the game on easy, and they didn't care. They're just walking through enemies, like they're like, oh no, he grabbed me, and they just walk it off. If I get grabbed, I go down and I die. So it makes
I
it
see.
more
I see.
actual
okay.
terrifying
Stakes
for
are
me.
higher. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I'm actually
okay, I get
afraid
you
of
now.
getting got. So
Getting got.
exactly
The newest episode of the Replayer Podcast.
getting got.
Get got good.
Getting got with Dan.
Get got good. Stephanie, then do I presume that you're also like me, that you would take the game that you play on easy first?
oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah, right? This makes sense.
I
Finally.
don't like getting scared anyways, so like I do understand like the whole like thrill, but like what was the one horror game that I've played? I haven't played it like all the way through, but I played a little bit of it, was Until Dawn. And that thing
so
was,
good. I would love to watch you play that game.
it was terrifying. It was just like at my friend's house and he's like, "You want to play a game?" I was like, "Sure." And so like I just played like a little bit of Until Dawn.
Who's your friend
and-
Jigsaw?
he loves he
The
loves
Jigsaw.
yeah, honestly, that yes. He loves horror. He's a big horror guy. Like he, every time I go over to his house, he's always playing like the Friday the 13th game. Like he's
Oh wow, okay. Big horror fan.
yeah, and now he's gotten his girlfriend into playing that, so like if they ever need to blow off steam, that's their way.
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
have a friend who
doing
plays
it.
that game religiously.
Oh, it's
I've
I
seen
failed
it.
at that game. I got yelled at. I think I've said this before. I got yelled at by like a 5-year-old or something on that game.
Oh yes, I
You
actually
suck.
remember you saying this. Yeah, it's really sad.
It is.
But
Like-
I would love to watch you play it. Like Until Dawn.
Oh.
Until Dawn is a really good game.
It is a good game. It is like, and I'm bummed I didn't get to play more of it because like it's such a cool process of like them trying to figure out like
That
what
studio's still
scares
making
you?
games in the vein of Until
Yeah.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We got
Check 'em
like 2 or
out.
3
The most
coming, right?
recent one I think is Little Hope. Is that right? Little
Sounds
Hope?
right. What's the main name of the series? I forget. They all have a main title. I'm blanking on it right now. It's like a mini series. They're putting out episodic games like Until
is it
Dawn,
dark?
but they're
Hold on.
dark anthology.
Yeah, I think so. It's like
Yeah.
dark something in there.
Yeah,
I'll get it.
get
Oh,
that
that's cool.
Googles. Yeah,
I'll
they're
get
that
the
same
Googles.
studio, and they're making new games that are like they're little pieces, and they're different each one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Stephanie.
Dark
So
Pictures.
Okay.
had you gone have you played any of the Resident Evil games?
No. I've only ever seen like footage. Like I think the first time I ever really saw a Resident Evil game is when we played it on Retro Replay.
I was gonna say, did you edit the episode when they played Resident Evil 2?
Sorry,
Yes.
yeah, the Dark Pictures anthology.
That's it.
Yeah, no, that game terrified me. There was like one scene where like I don't know what it's called, but like the big like creature comes like jumping out like the first time, and I didn't know it was coming, and I like
Yeah.
I guess it's and I like jumped out of my chair. I was like, no. Yeah, he's so gross looking. Like so watching this trailer talk, the Resident Evil 7, is it?
8.
8.
Village.
Yeah, I was kind of like expecting some of that kind of stuff to happen, but then it was more of like a whole nother genre, I feel like. But I would definitely play on easy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like for me, like I get stressed out if I am playing a game and it's on like a harder level and I just want to get through. So I feel like easier is like a little more of like a way to get me to the end of the game. Because if I played on hard, like I would not.
Same. I would just put it
Never
down.
get through.
Halfway through, I would be like, no, I can't.
Again,
Yeah.
that goes back to the challenge aspect of it. It's like playing Returnal. Like that game is hard, but it feels good when you beat something. It's that satisfaction. It's the challenge and the reward.
I get that.
See, I wouldn't mind playing on a higher difficulty with the game like Returnal, where I'm not scared. If you know what I mean.
Returnal can get scary.
I'm sure. No, it can. I've seen people play it. It's just that I don't find it as scary. It's
not. It's definitely not like in your
Yeah,
face.
it's
It's
not
not
as,
the
like-
the things like ripping at you with the
Yeah.
teeth and the coming
Nothing
at
like that.
you.
So I feel like Resident Evil is a different level of horror for me. That I'd be like, no, easy mode, no.
Yeah.
Whereas Returnal, I'd be like, oh, I might play this on anything else.
Mhm.
But I think maybe it's because yourself and Louie obviously are like avid gamers and you guys have been gaming forever. Whereas I'm probably only gaming in the last 10, maybe 15 years. So I just put everything on easy because I don't have that wide variety of gameplay experience behind me that I'm like,
Granted.
you know what? I actually don't know the mechanics of this. And especially if I'm going to pick up another game, especially on a different platform or something, I'm like, I'm playing on easy. Also, I'm a baby. And I hate horror games. So, it's all working out real well for me. I've actually played the demos. I played
What did you think of the demo?
I played the Maiden demo and the Castle demo. I didn't play Village. I missed the Village one.
I played a little bit of the Village demo.
Oh, yeah. See, firstly, I think the 30-minute timer thing was both genius and also like
they did that with
maybe they
Resident Evil
shouldn't
2,
have.
the
Yeah.
remake. They did a timed demo like that too.
Oh.
Is there a reason though? And the thing is, what was interesting, like somebody told me that I had 30 minutes to play it. So I thought I would be dropped into a level and then after 30 minutes, it would just stop. I didn't realize I could complete this section of the level in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
Like I thought that it was just an open. It's like if somebody put you in The Witcher 3 and was like, "Here you go, you have 30 minutes to play." That's what I thought I was getting, except in the world of like a linear like sandbox adventure type thing. Like I wasn't going to be free roaming. But yeah, that was really interesting. And then I only found out that I could complete it by actually just happening to go the right way and not dilly-dallying. And I completed it in like 19 minutes. But I didn't know that was a thing.
Are you talking about
No,
the
that was a
castle
thing.
demo or the Maiden?
The castle. The Maiden
Because
wasn't
the Maiden
timed.
wasn't timed. But yeah, if you played the Maiden, you can beat that demo in I think like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, the Maiden
Holy
demo is
crap.
very short.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did it twice on stream when it first came out. I did it once and it took me like 20 minutes. And I was like, that was kind of short. Let me try it again. And I blasted through it again in like 5, if that.
Yeah. It's a really short demo. It's really good in the way that because the atmosphere sounds fuck you up.
Yeah.
And it's the atmospheric sounds that will really just make you, I guess,
It's
more
all
scared.
about the atmosphere.
Yeah. But I must say, Castle demo was excellent.
Were there enemies in it?
Yes,
Okay.
there were. In the basement, I guess. So you end up kind of running into Danielle, which is one of the sisters. You have to kind of escape, and then you end up dropping down into this dungeon, which is similar to the Maiden demo, where you woke up in the Maiden demo.
And you see those
You're-
like troll like
sick.
people.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you're kind of going down them, and then there's some sort of like zombie vampires? I don't know. Like they were dead things coming
Ghouls.
at you, and it wasn't great. Yeah, ghouls, if you will. Yeah, but that was the demo, and I thought like
Vampire in Brooklyn.
Never
Come on, Louie.
seen that.
Yeah.
Come on, Louie.
Obviously. Yes, Vampire in Brooklyn.
Hold on, I gotta look that up.
You're going old school with me, man.
I had to, Louie. You're
Vampire
a film
in Brooklyn?
aficionado.
I do like. Well, I'm a big fan of horror. Like, unfortunately,
It's Vampire in Brooklyn.
Vampire in Brooklyn.
Oh,
Eddie Murphy.
Oh, the film.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I have seen this film. I actually
I've
It's
seen
Eddie
this.
Murphy. Oh yeah, okay.
Well, I looked at the picture and I'm like, oh, wait a
Same.
second. Yes.
Yeah, same.
Angela
I've never been
Bassett.
shot before. Kind of itches a little. Yeah.
Go ahead, Louie. You're a big fan of horror.
I'm a huge horror fan. In fact, that's what I try to write. I have a couple scripts that are already in the works in that, and I have no clue how the hell I'm going to shoot them, but hopefully come soon. When it comes to like Resident Evil, I've always been a massive fan. Resident Evil 2 was my first favorite new age video game out of like, Nintendo and all of that. Like for PlayStation, that's the one that hit it for me. And I played it, so I didn't have a memory card. So I would.
You shared that story with us, I believe, the last time you were on the podcast.
Yeah. That I got so good at it that I was able to just do quick run throughs, and I would beat it in a couple hours max. And the new one, I have a friend who was like, "You cannot play 7 until I lend you my VR," and then the pandemic happened. So I haven't finished 7 yet. I haven't gotten the village. And there's kind of, I have the article about no spoilers and stuff like that. I'm a huge fan of not having spoilers of any kind, so I don't even watch trailers. So when I saw that you guys were doing trailer talk for Village, I was like,
Can't do it.
oh, I'm missing that one.
Yeah, no,
So
that's fair.
I can't.
You've seen none of the trailers for Village yet?
None of the trailers. Even the pictures piss me off. I'm like, oh, there's like a werewolf. Damn it! Didn't want to know that.
Oh shit! This is gonna be a shit show for you, to be honest.
Sorry, Louie.
This is terrible. Yay!
Well, if it helps, I've only played the demo, and the demo is just that. It's a demo, really, isn't it? Like this, you're just supposed to be demonstrated to like the mechanics and not even any of the lore. There wasn't much any lore or anything in there either. So,
but that's what I love specifically so much about 7's demo was that it's. You can play the demo and not get anything spoiled because it's specifically just going like, this is what the game is like.
It's a standalone like experience.
So many, that they implement into the game.
That.
They're kind of like, hey, by the way, you're going to play this again when you play the game, but it doesn't change anything. And there's so many different ways to play it. Because the first time I kept seeing the dude walking around the house and I was like, oh my God. And then I went back again. I'm like, you're not supposed to see him if you're doing it right. I'm like, oh shit. It's just, there's so much to one little thing, and I'm hoping that the demo for this one is kind of the same. But until I beat 7, I don't want to even try 8 because
if you play the Maiden demo is very much like that RE7 demo. It's a standalone experience. You're not Ethan. Yeah. You're a different character.
Yeah, it's just what did they say it was at the end? They said like this demo was for like display purposes. That kind of thing. Like it is
more to give you like the sense of the atmosphere and the environment.
Proof of concept.
That's it. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, Resi 7. I've never played the Resident Evil games until recently.
They're so good. They're very good. You should do it.
Oh no, thanks. I played the first hour of Resident Evil 7, and then tomorrow I'll be doing the rest of the game. And apparently the average person takes about 9 hours to complete the game on their first run. After that, it takes a lot less, and you get a trophy for doing it under 4. So potentially tomorrow I could be streaming for like 10 hours because I'm just scared I'm not going to move.
I didn't even beat the game in 9 hours. So, I mean, I played on normal, but...
Yeah, because like I think the average of it is like 9 to 10 hours to complete the full game start to finish.
Okay.
Which I thought is like just a relatively short game. I wonder if Resident Evil 8 is going to be similar or not.
I've seen people beating it in about 9 to 10 hours.
Oh, okay. Because I think maybe just with horror games, it's just better to have them shorter. You don't want to kill people. Like you don't want to just like keep them on edge. Yeah. But
what horror game lasts for way too effing long? Not gonna say it. Moving on.
Okay.
Oh.
You don't know? You don't know
what I'm talking about?
The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, that's I was kind of
that's
thinking.
a survival horror. I feel like it's not a horror game. I think survival horror.
Yeah.
That is survival horror.
Also, yes, it does.
It's too long. That's all I'm saying.
At least 4 hours. Too long. At least 3 endings too long.
Oh, it's good. It's just too long.
Yeah, excellent. It feels like. Do you know what I feel like? I feel like they could have done. We can go into another tangent about Last of Us Part 2 another time.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, it could have just been different endings. Anyway, speaking of Resident Evil Village, though, we did obviously have a trailer talk this week, where we did review the trailer. Louise, you can excuse yourself from the podcast now if you'd like to.
Oh, can I excuse myself too?
No. What? Did you not watch it?
What?
Did you not watch it?
Hold on, Louie.
I want both of you to just turn off the cameras to like commit to the video. None of us
No, Louie, you messed up my screens.
It's fine.
Well, now
get it back.
Pagan and Pagan is Louie.
Great.
Here's a story.
Wait, if I turn off my camera, does it work?
I don't know. Try it. Yes, we're good.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, it flip-flopped, you guys. So we're good.
This is the stuff that Stephanie would be editing out of the show.
Oh yeah, totally. Totally.
I clip
But this is good
end.
content. I'm gonna leave it in.
Oh
there.
yeah.
Where is who? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right? I don't know. Well, yeah, I think everybody who's speaking right now in Zoom, you're top right.
Yeah, you always see yourself in
You're
the top
always
right.
top right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's
so everybody else is like messed up.
Yeah, it doesn't correlate to anyone.
Yeah.
Anywho, trailer
anyway,
talk.
do you want to go into a discussion of trailer talk, considering Louise doesn't want any spoilers or anything?
No, do it. It's fine.
I'm happy to hear Pagan and Steph elaborate on the trailer talk.
Okay, Steph.
I will say this, Louie, you didn't miss much in the trailer talk. Regarding Resident Evil. Regarding Resident Evil, you didn't miss much.
No.
Because they don't talk about Resident Evil very much.
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know much about it. So
I know.
I tried. I
know
tried with Resident Evil 7. I failed quite a lot, and I would like to publicly apologize for all of the mistakes I made in that trailer because I've made quite a few regarding Jeanette Moss and Emmy McGlynn. Like, it's Maggie Robinson. I do apologize.
Here's my favorite thing of that trailer talk. I will say this. I thought PJ had an amazing evaluation of the game and what was on presentation.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite part.
He usually does. He always has a really good foresight, and I'm always really excited to hear what he has to say, even if sometimes it's a little more harsh than I think it would be. He was like, "Oh yeah, it's fucking boring." I'm like, "Oh okay." That's how you really feel. But I love his
next
insight.
week.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of his insight. Him and Drew always give such, and then they really break it down.
Drew's internet died during that episode too, so.
Poor Drew.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we had to
was
just
a shit
continue
show.
on. It was a shit show. I'm so
everybody,
sorry.
Everybody in the comments was like, "Wow, they totally just didn't even
acknowledge
that he left or anything like that." And going back, because when we watch trailers now, we have to pull up our own screen to watch it. So you can't even see, at least I can't see everybody else.
That everybody else is there, yeah.
Yeah. So then you close up the trailer and I saw that he was gone, and we've just kind of learned to play it off because typically the funniest thing happens when we're recording because he'll be talking and all of a sudden he just freezes. And so he can still hear us and he's still talking, but we don't know that. So we just kind of have to play it off.
Yeah.
But PJ and Nolan are always the ones that I feel like you and I do a good job of
we're really good at just
letting it go.
Yeah, go ahead, Drew. Absolutely, talk about it, or just sit and listen or pretend to listen, because essentially what's happening is Drew is recording locally, so even though we can't hear what he's saying, he is saying something and he's making a good point because it's Drew, right? So he's gonna make a fucking excellent point and we're all gonna agree. So I would just but Nolan and PJ Drew will start doing things
and PJ's always making comments of "Oh, there goes Drew again," or we gotta get him to new internet. And it's just so funny.
It's particularly unfortunate for that episode too, because Drew was the only one to seem to have any real knowledge of the franchise.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, that looks, and then Drew's gone. And I'm like, no, the one person with like insight.
Yeah. Oh,
For Drew.
yeah.
We have to get his internet fixed.
We do.
Okay, I'm gonna watch the damn episode.
Oh, it's a good episode.
It's pretty
funny.
Honestly, just skip us watching the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, could do
if
that.
you don't want to see anything about the trailer, just skip the actual trailer bit and listen to the conversation afterwards, because it's something.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm definitely doing this.
I do try. I do try it with Resident Evil 7 and stuff like that. I'm like, I kind of know. I kind of this. I kind of that. Not really, though. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Now, if we did the trailer now, I would be like, oh my gosh, now I understand, because it's Resident 4. Like, it's very similar to Resident Evil 4, what they are doing, and then they're wanting to bring out another one. Like, I'd have more, I guess, context now about that trailer than I did then, like 2.5 weeks ago, whenever we recorded it.
That's me always after the trailer talk recordings.
Always.
I'll sit there and I'm like, I could have said this, or like I'll be watching the trailer because I watch it like 20 million times, like editing, trying to find clips. And I'm just like, oh, there's that in the trailer. Like I remember like I watched the first, 5 minutes of the new Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
And there was like a woman in the background, and it was his wife, and she was like all frozen. And I remember watching the trailer and thinking, is that a person in the background? Like, is it a bloody rock?
Oh.
And then I was like, oh, that's something I could have commented on now. I was like,
This happens all the time. And sometimes like we will record trailer talk very last minute because it's down to scheduling, right? And who's available at what time. So we could be recording like really last minute, and I could just be getting off work, or Stephanie's still at work and she's taking a break. So there's like very little prep time other than like watching the trailer a couple of times to see what it's about, or potentially just watching it live when we're recording, but we'll have to bring our own trailer up, like Stephanie said, so we cover the rest of our screen. Like we'll all hit play at the same time. So yeah, now I'm like absolutely raging after watching that trailer talk, because I'm like, could have had so much more to say. Like,
yeah.
I mean that's interesting. Like do you guys?
25 years of
I know.
25
years. 25 years. I know. And like we could have done a whole bunch. Like I've actually played the opening of Resident Evil 4. Shut myself and put the controller down. And I was like, no, thank you. So realistically, Resident Evil Village, I should be the same.
There was the one thing too when PJ got into talking about the RE engine. He was like, "Yeah, I think they made this engine for this game," and I was like, "Actually, they made it for RE7."
Resident 7.
Like they made that engine for RE7, and then they've been using it since then. So they've used it for Devil May Cry 5. They used it for Monster Hunter Rise, and they've been expanding on that engine since, and they're improving on it. So yes, they made it for Resident Evil. But I appreciate PJ's insight and perspective.
Yeah.
I
can only apologize
about the trailer talks, though. Is that I mean, you kind of answered it. It was really like, what kind of preparations do you guys have for it? But like going into it and having that nuance afterwards, where it's like, oh, retrospectively, I could probably like, is it more? Do you think it's better to go in blind and then see the trailer firsthand and then have the commentary for that, or do you think that sometimes it could behoove you to go in and have like this prepared statement about what you're about to watch and all those different kinds of things? Like, which one would you consider is probably more organic, I guess you could say?
No, because I've done both.
Same.
No, what we need to do now.
I changed what? Oh my god, is that all your notes now?
Wow. You know what we need to do now is we have to have a after the talk conversation where you guys can say, well, now in retrospect.
Yes,
I know. We've talked about that.
That's kind of what this is.
Yeah, we have. And the thing is, like Stephanie said, I've done both. And the beginning trailer talks, I was watching them live with everybody. But this was when Drew was sharing his screen and trying to feed us through the trailer, which was a big wah because the fucking internet shit. So anytime he shares through the screen, we don't actually hear the trailer, and we only see like chipped bits of the trailer. Yeah. It's like stuck in whatever, right? So I have done that, where my first reaction has been trailer talk through a Zoom that has definitely fucked up and is like in slow motion and I can't hear anything. And I'm like, well, shit. And then eventually I had a comment, right? There's a comment on YouTube being like, why is Pagan there? She never says anything. And I was like, that's fair. It's probably because I'm reacting first time to the trailer without actually seeing the trailer. So then the following times I was like, right, I'm going to do this shit. And I like started researching the project without watching the trailer and then would watch the trailer live and be like, yes, but I have some insight. Blah, 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 blah. And now it's like a bit of both if I can. If not, I will try and watch the trailer at least once or while we're live, like I will have
You'll have it pulled up on your
YouTube
own.
of myself. Yeah.
No, I've kind of done the same thing because like I started off, like I tried to do a little bit of preparation and like go into it because especially too like after listening to PJ and like Drew and they have all this insight, I'm like, well, crap, like I feel like I need to say something like a little bit more or find something fun. And then also we have like a layout of what we want to cover. And how we want to organize it.
I'm not sure why it's the layout.
But like
we always seem on the moon.
We're professionals.
Because it's like it's hard. Like for filming, like you can keep things to track, but like I think it's better to kind of go off course. Like I like the way like scratching the layout. Like I mean, I feel like it's a little more organic. To say the least, and it's fun that way. I mean, there are some like this next episode. It's
go on.
We're just getting.
I mean, Stephanie is coming back next week to discuss this because I was like, "Hey, when's that episode coming out?" And she's like, "Oh, it's next week." I was like, "Great, you want to come on the podcast?" Because we've got to chat.
We will look forward to that.
It's interesting.
It's there's definitely no format.
Well, by the time anyone actually listens to this episode, that would have aired yesterday, and they could have watched it already because ours comes out on Wednesday.
True.
That is true.
Enjoyed that.
So we hope you liked that episode of Trailer Talk that aired yesterday.
If you would like to find out more or hear more about what we thought of that trailer, i.e. myself and Stephanie, feel free to come out to the podcast and watch it next week because we will be having a chat about it. About how we felt about that trailer.
Because right now we are tight lips.
Back to the Resident Evil trailer though, Steph, I did want to say that although you're not knowledgeable of the series, I appreciated and enjoyed your aspect on the horror of the trailer, and you were able to give some pretty decent like perspective there.
I was kind of guessing because like for me, like I love like vampires and werewolves and like all that kind of stuff. So me watching that trailer, I was hoping that it was something like that because I was like, that would be awesome. Like
poor Louie's like la 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 la.
No, I'm not a horror person, but I do like those kind of movies. Like even like the bad ones. I watched.
What about oh my god, one of my favorite freaking series. The one with the vampires and werewolves.
Underworld.
Jeez, we talked about Underworld. I'm like, all I could think was Celine. Like, that's all I could think. Yes,
that's like one I've only seen like bits and pieces of. But
I
like,
love those movies.
So good.
Those are the good ones. Those are the good ones. I mean, even if it's like a bad movie, like it's still like I mean, I loved watching like it's not horror, but like Hellboy. Like
Oh yeah, I like Hellboy.
So good.
They're good.
All right. Well, it's been.
Bye.
I'm done. She's done. It's over.
She's done with this.
She's gone. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm trying to think of.
You have a lot of pluses that I will overlook this misstep.
Thank you. I'm trying to think of what's the vampire movie with Keanu Reeves. Why am I blanking on the name of that?
With Keanu Reeves?
Dracula.
Yeah.
Is it just Dracula?
With
Gary
Oldman.
Yeah,
it's just Bram Stoker. Okay,
Bram Stoker's.
I love that movie. Because
with Winona Ryder.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it's not like the best movie ever, but like it's interesting to say the least, and it's kind of entertaining.
I don't know what I was thinking of. Devil's Advocate for a minute there, like that wasn't vampires.
Devil's Advocate is
that was
Satan. Unreal movie, but it's definitely not about vampires.
Oh no.
Similar.
Or like Interview
fine.
with a Vampire is interesting. I don't know. It's like costume wise, like sometimes you watch it for like certain things. like Interview with a Vampire.
The setting and everything in that film was excellent.
Yeah, so like it's not like the best movie ever that I've watched, but like and the reason like I got into it was because we had in college, we had a fraternity, we had one of the audio designers come, and he like talked to us, and he was breaking down like all the different noises that he put in that movie. And I think at the time his kid was like a little baby, so he put like his baby's like cooing and stuff in like certain points, and so like I thought that was kind of cool. So I was like, okay, now I gotta go watch this. But so like of course I watched it later on, but I like those kind of movies. I don't know, like even if they're just terrible, like
that's kind of cool. No, that's fine.
I'll watch it for like the vampire aspect.
It's Francis Ford Coppola. He's one of the greatest directors in history of like. It's not a bad movie.
It's not.
No,
don't particularly
it's
like
not.
it. I don't.
Keanu and Winona's accents are,
yeah,
terrible.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's masterfully done. And I actually went to the Coppola Ranch and I saw the costumes and everything.
I did too.
Oh God.
Nice.
That was the wines.
That's kind of cool.
I can't remember the last
time. I wasn't old enough to drink the wine. I wasn't old enough to drink the wine at the time. That was like one of the few wineries that I was dragged to that was actually happy to be dragged to because it was film oriented. So I was just sitting there staring at the Godfather desk, just kind of like, can I can I sit? Can I touch? Can I have? Can I be here for like ever?
That's cool.
I can has desk.
Can I has? No, I love Francis Ford Coppola.
I actually think the trailer, like Resident Evil Village trailer, what it actually more reminded me of was Van Helsing, the one with Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. Just super reminiscent of that whole thing. Yeah, I know, right?
That's a good one too.
The whole vibe. And that's why I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, I mean, this looks horrifying, and I know it's going to be scary because of the soundscape. But at the same time, I really enjoyed Van Helsing movie because that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 7, I am shitless.
Van Helsing definitely wasn't like a horror movie, though, either.
No.
Right.
In any way.
No, but that's not true. Yeah, that's true. But the horror... what is it, like animals, characters, whatever you call it, like personas, vampire, werewolf, whatever. I'm okay with that. I can watch all of the movies with that.
Same. I think that's kind of why I wasn't
Blade. Just putting it out there.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, I have again as like a big horror fan and all that kind of stuff. Like when it comes to like Underworld, I hated it. When it comes to like. I'm not big when they try to turn it.
Underworld's not a horror movie either, though.
Yeah, no, but that was the thing, is that I went expecting it like that, and that was right at the tail end when they started making all the vampires more
twinkly,
sexy.
Oh yeah,
sexy. Okay, so the thing about a vampire in my mind, growing up and watching stuff like the Interview with the Vampire and stuff like that, I always thought that the sexualization of the vampire was interesting because they pretty much encompassed all of the sins, and that's the harshest one is lust, because you like that's what you want, so you are actually absolutely drawn to them, but they don't have lust themselves, they use it. It's like when you see a multicolored insect, it's doing that so that the birds won't eat it because it's like, oh, that's probably poisonous. That's what they're doing with their looks. They don't feel it. They just like, oh, okay, now I got a new prey. And then we started making them fall in love, and I'm like, damn it, you ruined the whole horror aspect.
That's why.
And I love action. Don't get me wrong. Like Hellboy, I love Hellboy, but that's because it's so campy. Like Constantine, like Blade. Like those comics where they really like throw. It's just ham to the wall, man. You can go too far with it. You can't go far enough. But those people just tread, and they just use like the folklores and stuff like that in such a smart and wonderful way. So the action, the comedy, the horror elements are all there. And you get someone like Guillermo del Toro who can really make those kinds of films work, and then you get people like Twilight, you get things like that.
That's one of the reasons why I personally, my favorite vampire movie of all time is probably 30 Days a Night.
That's really
seen it.
The vampires are the exact opposite of what Louie was talking about. They're not sexualized. They're terrifying. They're horrifying to look at. Like, they're truly monstrous in that movie. They rip people to shreds. And like that was after Twilight. That was after like the whole romanticization of vampires. And it was like, we're gonna go back to like scary vampires.
They tried to do that.
Oh no.
With what's his name? Josh Hartnett. And that was a great movie, to be honest. It was very underappreciated. I think because they went back to it and everyone's like, no, this is supposed to be sexy. I want to like my vampires. I'm like, you are a moron. But that's just my opinion. That's just what I think.
I think the interesting thing there, too, was that movie was based on a graphic novel, much like The Walking Dead. And now The Walking Dead is the biggest thing on the freaking planet.
Yeah.
Why couldn't 30 Days a Night have been that?
I don't know. It's interesting how things become popular, I think. And just how like certain things like really hit it off and then others just kind of like the predecessors were like, meh. And then all it takes is this one thing to be like, oh my God. Like,
you could say the same thing in video games too. The same kind of stuff happens.
I was just about to
even
say,
with Resident Evil, you know?
I was going to say, because of like your topics of like sexualization of vampires or women in general.
Speaking of sex.
And speaking of sex, and also how things become popular. Let's talk about Leisure Suit Larry that they played this week on Retro Replay. A very popular retro game that I have no idea why it's so popular. And yet here we are.
I have no idea.
Sorry. So if anybody doesn't know, Leisure Suit Larry, if you've missed the episode, is an adult-themed video game series created by Al Lowe. It was published in 1987. But there are multiple like games of the series. Like there has been so many spin-offs of this, and they're still going. I think their latest one comes out in May this year. So at the end of this month, there should be another Leisure Suit Larry coming out. So super hyped for the launch.
And Nolan will not be playing it.
Has anyone here ever played a Leisure Suit Larry?
Nope.
Have you really? Dad, what Leisure Suit Larry have you played?
I played Magna Cum Laude when it came to the original Xbox.
God.
Oh my God.
I remember that one. I never played it, but I watched it being played.
It was just as bad. It was just as cheesy as the original that they played on Retro Replay, and I never saw the original one before this episode.
How is the gameplay different? Is it like the same kind of a thing? Because I think the thing that I found annoying was all the typing.
It's not a text-based.
Oh, no, it's not
the newer ones are like 3D adventures. Like you're actually walking around a 3D space and going on. You have like certain quest lines, and you'll like. I think the only mission I can remember from that game, because it's been a long time, was there was a woman that every one of the women you met had some ridiculous like aspects that you had to meet in order to try to sleep with them, and they always failed every time. The only time I remember him actually succeeding, the woman made him dress up in a like furry costume, and like that's how the scene played out. Was he was dressed up in like a mascot furry outfit while doing things, and I think he ultimately ended up not actually getting to do it. Like he had to like watch from the it's just bad. It's just corny, and
that is so sad.
I feel like the original probably just was like for shits and giggles.
Poops and giggles.
And then after that, it was just kind of like we have like I don't know, like you're talking about like furries, so it's like weird fetishes, like just kind of just for this is what they want.
I've just never seen a text-based game.
No,
like, I've heard of them. I've just never seen them. Like, and there's so many commands that you had to like put in. Like,
take that back.
So then I'm kind of like, how did you program that? Like,
yeah,
you know, you could type in anything, and sometimes somebody will be like, oh, well, I thought of that too, and then he programmed it to say this. And that's kind of cool. I think that's
a coding question for sure.
Would the Oregon Trail not just be like a text-based game? Was that?
Yes, and
I guess that's the only one that I've played.
I am actually recommending that for Drew anyway, because it's being remade or revamped for for Apple and Mac OS.
I love that game.
And the original game came out in on Apple too.
Oh, I saw that. Actually, I saw that because I was wanting to play it.
There you go. If you have Apple Arcade, if you own an Apple product and you own Apple Arcade, it's just come out, or it is coming out pretty soon. So yeah, so that is definitely something that I've recommended for to replay because that's kind of cool to contrast. And that's what I thought they would do with this one, honestly, because this original game, I've just never seen it played, but I have seen like Legends of Larry 7 or whatever, like doing Google research. My algorithm is so fucked up. But yeah, so I can see kind of stuff and I'm like, oh, this is interesting because it's a click, like a, what's it called? A point and click adventure type thing. So you just click on stuff and then you'll be like, I can't use that, blah, blah, blah. And then click on something else to get out of like a puzzle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Interesting game.
It is. Yeah. It was interesting to edit too. It was kind of funny just to...
You had some great edits, especially like the still of the naked Larry.
So great with the Kardashian butt thing. Yes. So good. The Kardashian.
That was great.
Girl.
As soon as I made that, I sent it to Drew and I was like, this is, I think, my best creation yet. I was like, I'm proud of this. I thought it was, oh my God.
What I loved about it is that we had two great jokes right there, which was, oh, he's thick, and then little right on the butt cheek. And I just like, I'm done. This was it. This was the perfection.
Editing was so on point in this episode.
It was so good.
Oh my God.
There was a lot of great cutaways in that episode too.
So
yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one.
I want to know what we missed.
A lot of just like
make it.
boring stuff, I reckon.
There was one thing at the very end because I was just trying to cut for time, but like right after he gets laid, he hops out the window. And the only way for him to get down is like he has to jump into a dumpster. So then he's like walking and he goes back in front of Lucky's and then an officer starts walking and like says like, hey, pervert, or like something like that. So like, Larry's just kind of like, woo, me? But then Nolan's like, okay, crap, like we're going to get caught. So like he's trying to like run away. And I think he ends up getting killed again by like the beggar or whoever it was in the alley. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then that was it. But it was just a lot of quiet, like of them like trying to like type things or click. And so really just trying to condense that. And then also the repetitive of like having to go back after he's died and
redo it.
And redo stuff. And so like a lot of that, I was like, well, we already saw that before. I was like, I don't think we need to see that again. Like, we don't need to see like his head be put back on again, maybe. But
I think you've done such a great job with the editing on this game because I'm sure being such an old game, it doesn't have anything like that where you can skip stuff.
Yeah.
I'm loving that Nolan failed the age test.
Yes.
The first time.
Yes. I know. I messed with that too. Because I was like, we need a cold open, and then I was like, what can I use? And I was like, aha, I'll try to use that somehow to make it work. Because so he had to do it twice, and so I kind of merged like the second time with the first time. So like the questions that you see in the episode are like he answered like he's 22. So.
Beautiful.
But I would have loved to see if he tried entering 77, like what would have happened and what questions would have come up
to prove that you're actually 77 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I think that was like a genius little tactic. But what was really fascinating about this game was obviously people didn't have computers in the 80s. It wasn't like super accessible as it was now. So a lot of the people would just play it at work, and then it just caught on. Like when the game actually got published, it like bottomed at any box office or whatever. Like it only sold like 4,000 copies in the first like 2 or 3 months, and they lost money. They were like, shit. But then word of mouth started to catch on, and then by the end of the year, they had sold 300,000 copies, and the majority of people who were playing the game was actually playing them on privated or pirated floppy disks. And that's why in the tidbit, Allison was talking about it almost crashing a lot of financial institutions because somebody who pirated the game stuck a fucking virus on it, and then they pirated from the pirate. So the virus spread everywhere. It was a semi-harmless kind of virus. It was deleting like just random files. Like anytime you would reboot your computer, files would be missing. And then they originally found that as a virus that was linked to the game. not specifically like, yes, it definitely was, but like 80% of the people who's had a hardware virus or whatever, they had a pirated copy of Leisure Suit Larry. So that's hilarious. And they had to they had to like completely wipe their systems and restart again from this one game that people just wanted to play because it's naughty at work.
I can't imagine playing that
at work. Exactly.
Oh, and also if there's like a command, there's a keyboard shortcut that if you pressed it, it would bring up an Excel sheet, the original like old school version of the Excel sheets that looked like you were working. So if your boss walked by, you can do a command and it would bring up the Excel sheet. But if you looked really closely, it would actually be things like stuff in the game. So like, for example, it could be like accounting 10 condoms purchased for however much. And then like, Lucky's Diner or whatever, 10 dinners, $43. Like, do you know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of cool. I really enjoyed that.
Can you imagine? Nothing to see here, boss. Nothing.
Nothing to see here. Don't mind me. I think that's genius. Honestly, back then, like shortcut, be like, no, nothing
that's
here.
Great. Oh my gosh.
I'm just thinking of that meme of like the cat with on the computer is just like, oh man.
But based on this game, we were thinking about topics, I guess, for this, and like I've never played Leisure Suit Larry, but I have played games that have like naughtiness, like sex scenes or like the occasional naughty thing. And the first thing that came to mind for me was The Sims.
Yeah,
the original Sims game. When you found out you could woohoo with somebody, I was like, I blushed so hard. I was like 10 or 12 when I fucking saw that. I was like,
same.
What is happening? And the bed would be like bumping and then little hearts come up and you're like, what is happening?
Well, and I think The Sims, was it Sims 1 or Sims 2? I think Sims 2 was like a lot raunchier. And then Sims 3 kind of like, I think, toned it down.
Where you could see like body parts and stuff like that. And they would come up halfway and be like, oh,
yeah.
And then keep going again. Like, all right. And stuff in the hot tub and stuff. And what's great about The Sims now, I think Steph can attest to this, is that like there's so many places now that when you click on it, it says woohoo and you're like, I didn't even fucking think that was possible.
A dumpster. A dumpster.
A bush.
Shower, a bush.
Well, when you're in the mood.
The closet.
Yeah, right. The closet, yes, yeah. Oh, you can go
like there's a new
you can have
one.
an observatory.
Space? In a spaceship.
The lighthouse.
Yes.
This is a weird episode. Anyway,
oh my god.
There are plenty of other games though, and I just wanted to get your opinion on, I guess, naughtiness in games. Like, have you played many? Have you ever been shocked by something that you just weren't expecting? Like, that's definitely for me. And The Sims, the original Sims, when I was playing it at like 10 or 12 years old, I was just like, whoa. Yeah. I was real shocked by that. And it's The Sims. It's not even like good graphics or anything. It's just like, whoa. So I'll open it out to the floor. What about you, Dan?
I think probably the first game I ever played that actually had like sex in it was probably Grand Theft Auto 3.
Same.
Oh, yeah, Grand Theft Auto,
like picking up a hooker and then the car starts wiggling and you're like, are they? Yeah. They're doing it. Yep. Right.
Yeah, and you get money.
Yeah.
Or you have to give her money.
You know what else was another game that had sex in it that was interesting was Fable. Oh man, the original Fable.
Never seen it.
We've talked about Fable on the podcast before a couple times. It's an original Xbox series that's now getting the reboot on Series X, and that game, like Sims, had a lot of like a kind of like a deep dating kind of sim to it, and you could literally date and marry anyone in the game, and there would be like these weird sex scenes where the game would like cut to a shot of the house, and you would hear like dialogue of like people like you know, like just random noises, and you're just like, what is happening in there?
What's going on?
Yeah. And that was an older game that came out probably around the same time Grand Theft Auto came out, I think. Yeah, Louie. Ooh.
Here we go.
Here
No.
Here we go.
I mean, apart from stuff like God of War or like original stuff and things like that, like for me, the whole thing about sex in video games was like, oh, look, her boobs are not so triangular anymore. Now things are starting to get better. Or a square butt that wiggles more than the rest of the legs, like in Metal Gear Solid, when you had to look for
the butt wiggle in Metal Gear Solid 1. Yes.
Yeah, because obviously all women wiggle their ass when they walk. It's just a thing that they do. So I mean, like, sex in games. I forgot about it too until you kind of give me a little bit of a heads up, like, hey, we're going to talk about this. So because I'm a nerd, I did my research, and I'm like, I can't remember sex in games at all. Like, unless it's like a specific sex game, I don't think of anything like that, and I haven't played any of those. So I was like, all right, let me do a little bit of research, and I started being reminded of all these awkward scenes in awkward games, where even in modern graphics, it's kind of like, okay. Like, probably the best scene, I guess I could say, is in The Last of Us 2, and that's just
I was just gonna say.
Oh yeah.
Because it was so like it was very intimate in itself. You you felt the pressure of these two individuals, and you want them to be together and all of that. And then it's in a game that doesn't really have that romanticized feeling, so that one kind of stuck out, and a lot of people were like, oh my god, and blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, this is the one real moment of human interaction that still existed between these two in the post-apocalyptic world. And then you get games like Fallout, where it's just like, hi, lie in bed with me. And then you wake up the next day and they're not there, which is kind of something in my own life, but that's the different thing. No, I mean, like, sex in games, I don't think that we've nailed that one yet, to, pun intended. It's just one of those, it's awkward. Like, it's like watching a movie with your parents, and then the sex scene happens, and you're kind of like, sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
I love
Especially
you too.
with the like uncanny valley, like you kind of hinted at before too, when it comes to like the visualization of the characters, and like sex scenes of polygons. Is that a sex scene, or is that just a few triangles kind of poking each other?
Okay, that's interesting, because as everyone knows, when it comes to Naughty Dog, everything is done on set and stuff like that, which I think is why that, again, nailed it in that sex scene in particular. Like, I came across one where they said one of the steamiest ones was in Uncharted 2 with Chloe and Nathan. And nothing happens. She sits on his lap, and then they kiss on the bed. But that's it's so much more intimate than when you watch stuff in other video games. Like, what's the one, Beyond Good and Evil? I think it is. No, the one with Ellen Page.
I know what you're talking
about. That is it. Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, Beyond Two Souls. Thank you. Before he became Elliot, and like, that was very uncanny valley, very uncanny valley, because it doesn't.
I feel like the most awkward sex scene-y stuff things that I've come across in a game, other than The Sims when I was like 10, I was like, oh, blushing, what's this? Now in The Sims, I'm like, yes, we're gonna woohoo with you, and then we're gonna have a baby with you, and then we're gonna divorce you and get some money, and then we're gonna so desensitized to it now. But Heavy Rain, has anybody played Heavy Rain?
That was one I was thinking about too, is that was very awkward.
The shower scene, and then there's like a sex scene, and it's really awkward because you're controlling it.
Oh,
I don't remember.
You have to do stuff like on emotion control, and it's not like that. Like, they will cut away to like when they're actually having sex, but you have to take off his top, and you have to take off her bra by like pressing R1 or holding R2 and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is the most awkward shit. Like, you could have just done like the Last of Us 2 part did. Not at the time, obviously, because Heavy Rain came out years ago.
I bet that part was more uncomfortable than actually cutting off the dude's finger.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, you have to cut off the... You should play it. It's a good game. Well,
or if you play Dead Space. If you play Dead Space 2, you have to stick a needle in Isaac's eye.
No, thank you. I'm okay. We're gonna wrap that up.
I always stop it right like we're there, and I'm just like, but then again,
but yeah, definitely wanted to put that up because I think like we've come a long way from Leisure Suit Larry and the text-based adventures.
Everything in that game. Everything in that game. I mean, we've come a long way, thankfully.
Yeah. Thankfully. And now we have The Sims.
Yes.
We're all grateful
and
for it.
much more like well-designed character models. So if there is a sex scene, it looks somewhat believable. And like they're generally more tastefully done, where it's like almost like a movie where it's like, oh, they're about to have sex and cut, like
yeah,
that kind of thing.
Kind of like Uncharted 2. They cut up to like what is it, a picture of a sunset or something, like on the wall. It's like what they did in old movies, like in Hollywood. Like if they had a love scene, like one of my favorite movies, it's like the characters finally get together and they cut up to like they pan up to like a cuckoo clock, and then like the cuckoo birds come out, or there's like a couple and they're like dancing around. So it's like it's kind of like the same kind of a thing, like
it's insinuated, it's implied, and you don't really
it is
you just know.
Yeah. So I kind of like that kind of sometimes, like you don't always need to see.
Thank you, that is totally how I feel, but I didn't want to be a prude and be like, I don't like sex scenes. It's more just because like I'm so because I know what it's like to be like an actor and you have to pretend to actually love somebody else. Like I've never done a sex scene or anything, but I have done kissing and stuff, and I'm like, I hate to do a sex scene with this person if I ever had to. Do you know what I mean? Like you're just like, this is just the most uncomfortable thing. No.
Or
just
you could
pan up. We don't need to see that. It's fine. Just pan away. It's implied.
The most hilarious sex scene in any video game was from South Park: Stick of the Truth.
Oh really?
God.
I've never played a South Park game. I would love to though.
You should play it on stream and be prepared to go full blush the whole time, because there's like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids moment where you're shrunk down really small and you have to battle your way across your parents' bed while they're having sex and avoid getting hit by your father's balls as they're swinging.
No.
And they do hit
South Park
you. They will
game.
hit you.
They will hit you because you're not going to be prepared for it the first time that your father's tentacle crush you while you're battling. What is it, like dust mites or something like that? Like
something.
Wow.
That game was like the next one, the Fractured Butthole, was fantastic, but the Stick of Truth, man, that killed it. What was it? The Nazi aborted fetus babies at the abortion.
Oh my god.
That game goes fucking to the wall, man.
Look, if it doesn't, it's not South Park.
Yeah,
exactly.
No.
And I loved every second of it.
You can't watch South Park and be angry because you have to respect that shit at some point.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, on that note, we will wrap up the episode here. If you are interested in topics like these and other gaming topics like what was on the last week's podcast regarding Gears of War, head over to retrotheshow.com, where there are many amazing articles by some of the replayer contributors to be found on the website in like the blog or the vlog section. Thank you. And I guess this is a chance for you guys to promote your socials. Louie, do you want to go first?
Sure. As always, you can find me with Skeleton Crew Diaries on YouTube. I'm going to be working with a few other people now, inclling Deadpan. I'm going to be doing some stuff.
I know who they are. That's so exciting.
Very excited for that. We're in good talks for a lot of stuff coming up. So I'm going to I have my film stuff, and now I have my video game and entertainment stuff, which you can also find me on the website for Retro Replay. So far, I have 3 articles, working on that 4th. It's been way too damn long, but it'll be good, I promise. That's pretty much everything. But thank you so much for having me on the show. Love it.
Always a pleasure to have you here, Louie. Always a pleasure. Steph?
So for me, you can find me on Twitter at Judging Since Day One. There's no G in the judging. Well, there's 1 G. There's not 2.
Judging since day one.
Judging since day one.
And then my Instagram is Judging Since Day One. So I like the namesake. It's a little play in the name. But no, this was fun. I'm excited. And next week we'll finally talk about this week.
Talk next week. Yeah. We will
yesterday's episode that everyone already saw when they heard this.
Right, exactly.
So weird.
I'm sure everyone will be very excited to hear what.
I apologize ahead of time.
After the fact. You're apologizing after the fact.
After the fact. Yeah, sorry.
Ahead of the time, after the fact.
We heard ahead of what you just said yesterday.
Yes.
So hold on.
Okay.
I mean, fuck. Drew listens to this. What a great episode.
It was so great.
It's so good.
No, it was good. It was good.
No, it is actually genuinely fucking hilarious.
No, it is.
Yeah, it's you'll see.
We'll see.
You'll see, or you will have seen, and you totally get what we're talking about.
Yes, and the thing we talked about is good too.
Or
so.
go see.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. Dan, what about your socials?
Thank you, Louie, for shouting out Deadpan. We've been trying to make some pushes to get some new stuff happening. We've got some new content we're working on. I'm happy to say, yes, Louie's working with us. We're trying to develop some new things for our channel. But I personally am also trying to get back into streaming. I've been working on doing Twitch and my personal YouTube, which is all Stark Evil Vash, just like before. And you can find me on Twitter at StarkEvash.
Nice. You can find me over on Twitch at Pagan_plays, on Instagram, Pagan_plays, and Twitter at PaganPlays. I am going to be raising money for charity over the next couple of weeks. Well, actually, next couple of months. I'm trying to raise $1,000 for charity by my 30th birthday in September. So if you are interested, you can follow my socials or my Twitch channel, which is where the charity streams will be taking place. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. If anybody is listening at the moment and they are interested in becoming a member of Retro Replay, or you have any questions about your membership, send them over to members@retroreplayshow.com. And if you have questions for this show or would like to be on the show, contact us at thereplayerpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
All you visual listeners.
All you visual listeners.
That was so funny. Anyway, thank you guys so much for, I know. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Louie, Steffi, thank you so much. And that's game over, folks.
Good job.
Bye.
Bye.